conserve energy while being efficient and not hurt taxpayer money. It would also create a healthier environment, create jobs, and increase the quality of life for all. State buildings must be designed and constructed or renovated so that the building achieves certification under a high-performance building standard that is developed and revised by a nationally recognized consensus-based process or by a municipally owned utility in the state, and provide minimum requirements for energy use, natural resources, and indoor air quality. The purpose of our request of an area emission reduction credit organization would promote the coexistence of the improvement of air quality and economic development within the region through the acquisition and distribution of emission reduction credits. Currently, Texas has the largest number of coal-fired power plants. As a result, the state burns more coal and produces more carbon dioxide than any other state. This means that solutions must be informed by both local and national concerns. Texas is also ranked number seven of the least green states in America. Our toxic waste is equal to 13.4 million tons. While Texas does well in some areas, such as producing the greatest amount of wind energy in the country, it performs severely poorly in several pollution categories. Much of this is due to the high rates of industry in the state. Texas ranks absolute last for CO2 emissions from fossil fuel combustion, having produced over 670 million metric tons of CO2 in a single year. Not to mention, Texas is ranked high for its EPA toxic exposure score, 47th for total toxic chemicals released into waterways, 46 for cancer-causing chemicals released, 45th for developmental toxins released, and 49th for reproductive toxins released. Texas produces the greatest amount of hazardous waste, generating 13,461,911 tons in 1 year. These statistics are extremely alarming, and this is why I'm asking for your help. When considering this bill, please think of your children, your spouses, your family, and their safety and quality of life. We are asking as citizens, as people, as a society, and as a vital part of America that you pass this bill so that every citizen may experience a higher quality of life. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Alexandra Rodegas. I am a fellow international consultant for international trade, as well as a lecturer at the University of Texas Pan American. And I am here to speak to you today in regards to the benefits towards the economic sector when going forward onto Senate Bill 1340. Now, when we say the state, everything's bigger in Texas, correct? And that is a saying that we say with pride, and something that we practice with pride and joy. But however, not everything we do that is bigger in Texas should be practiced with pride. Approximately $3,000 is used for energy consumption as the United States average. The Texas average is over $4,000. We are number 5 in the nation for energy consumption in spending costs. About 3 million British thermal units, BTUs, are used as the United States average for energy consumption. Texas, over 400 million. We are number 6 in the nation. I don't know about you, but this is not the bigger in Texas that I want to pursue. If you ask me, this is more of a bigger pocket, a bigger hole in my pocket than I would actually like to see. So looking in the economic sector, these costs that we spend, they can actually be allocated appropriately into investing towards energy efficiency. And we look into energy efficiency, we see this great cycle that will emerge. With energy efficiency, we will go forward in technology, in construction. As a matter of fact, over 100,000 jobs were pursued because of green construction in the United States in the past 3 years. If that is just the United States, if Texas pursues energy efficiency construction, imagine the new market that will emerge, a market towards green technology. This new technology will be a beacon forward for the rest of the world, such as those of Europe, in Germany, Sweden, and Great Britain have already pursued energy efficiency. We see that already here in Texas with wind farms. We have 2, 3 already. However, once we open this new, imagine how many more international consultants or international firms will come down to Texas. A new market will emerge, new jobs will come out, hundreds of thousands of jobs. Again, this will result into better buildings, better jobs, and a greener and more beautiful living Texas, more than we already are. So if you look at this, we go on further in a few years, we will have a greater population. Why will we have this greater population? Because of our physical attraction, our attraction for beautification. Not only that, but hey, I have all these new business opportunities. I have not only a good place to live, but I have job opportunities. Because I have many more employers here in Texas. Again, why? Because we have so many people coming into Texas, seeing the new opportunities that are available in technology and construction, and looking for people who are knowledgeable in this area. So that is why I ask you to please pursue this state bill. Because with this state bill, we will see economic development over the years and over time. Yes, of course, at first it may be up from cost, but we have to look in the long-term projection. Over long term, we will see a greater result, and we will be the beacon of light, and we will be that everything is bigger in Texas. We will be #1. And if you ask me, that is the biggest in Texas pride that I want to pursue. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Molly and I'm 7 years old and I live in Texas. I think that the environment makes me have asthma, but my mom won't buy me an inhaler because she can't buy it. And my aunt died from asthma, and my granddad died with asthma, and I love them very much. And I think it's really tough, you know, because I like playing sports with my friends, but I can't go outside during the summer in Texas because it's so hot, and my asthma will flare, and then I'll be really sick, and that's not good. And my mommy won't let me leave the house during the summer in Texas. And my one wish in my entire life is to tear down all the buildings so I can play outside with all of my friends.
Members of the press.
We will now go ahead and take questions from the press. I apologize.
Good morning, my name is Claudia Perez, I'm from the Texas Tribune, and I would actually like to ask our mayor, how would our city benefit from having energy efficient buildings?
There are several ways that there's a benefit. It would benefit everybody, actually. Energy efficient buildings, to start off with, will attract a new population of people because every member wants to live in a more efficient, cleaner environment. Nobody can disagree with that. Not to mention there's savings for businesses and consumers, possibly in the long run. Also, the innovative technologies that would create new jobs for thousands of individuals, as well as there will be an incentive program for businesses in the case that they don't have the money up front. So, in essence, we're saving them money in the long run with the incentive program.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. My name is Noelle Mandel and I'm with YNN, and I had a question for you in the business department. How do you envision businesses reaping the benefits from the things that are going to be implemented? Thank you.
Well, personally, like I mentioned before, I see a lot of advancement with the business sector when implementing this bill. Something that I forgot to mention that I would greatly love to enhance at this moment is that Texas is known for being a rural state. We have a lot of farming here, and something that is mentioned is the cap and trade. And I just want to touch on this topic real quick. I see advancement not only in the metropolitan area, but also in the rural sector of Texas. In the sense that if you look into the cap and trade, it is known that if you waste, if you don't spend too much, you can go ahead and trade your credits with other individuals. So putting this in retrospect, we see rural areas that don't, they're of course in the farming sector in the outskirts, and they don't consume that much energy. So if you think about that, we will have economic development even in that sector because they can go ahead and use that towards their benefit and trade that with the metropolitan areas. So again, we have an economic advancement not only in the rural sector, but again, in the metropolitan sector as well. Again, just to enhance on the metropolitan sector and just in the citywide aspect, again, we will have greater jobs, more employment, people are going to come in, and when you bring in more people, it's just a natural theory in itself. You bring more people in, you're going to have more knowledge, it's that kind of renaissance, in essence, kind of theory, where you have more people, more ideas, and you just have this growth of technology. So it's going to be growth. When you put this in, it's a catalyst towards future, knowledge and practices and innovation. Thank you.
My name is Amber Alanis. I'm with Fox News, and I'd like to offer a question to Dr. Rodriguez. As the cornerstone of our economy in Texas, small businesses don't have large enough operation spaces to really benefit from the cap-and-trade programs, which aren't enforced and are not mandatory. The clause says may in SB 1340. What incentive is there for small businesses to participate in such a program, and will it make up for their costs?
Well, if we look into the SB 1340 bill, it is not specified how the incentive program will work. Again, that is a may. Just I like to emphasize, like you mentioned, it is a may for small businesses. And I understand the fact that small businesses, are growing. So again, may is the word that we have to look at here. Small businesses, we have to look at the numbers. Numbers here, small businesses may be under 100 employees. So if you look at the kind of an average under 100, if you look at the small businesses in comparison to large, we do that comparison, and their energy emissions isn't that great of comparison. So looking into that, I guess what I would recommend for small businesses is to go ahead and look into this bill further, because I understand, the cost for them up front would be tremendous. But like again, our incentive program, or the incentive program, is not specified in the bill. So I believe that would be something that it could be up to the council, or to the municipalities, according to the region and the economic factors. But again, for small businesses, I would recommend to go ahead and look at it, invest for further use. And if you look closely at the bill, there is a 3-year period, so that you can, within that 3 years, go ahead and plan out what they would like to do for further use. But again, for larger companies, you can go ahead and do that upfront cost.
Hello, my name is Jessica Morales. I'm also from Fox News. You're looking at this long term that we're going to be getting a lot of money in Texas and things like that. But I think some of the people would have a question as to how this is going to work because it isn't mandated. So if only a few cities here and there or a few areas here and there are using it, then we're not getting as much input as output would, or we're not getting as much input as would be output because there's only small areas that are being affected by it. But yet now we have this bill where we're spending so much money on this technology and things like that. So what are people supposed to do about it, and how are they supposed to get their money back if it's not mandated?
Something that we have to look at here is with this state bill, the first people that are going to be mandated to implement this are state builders. Okay? So we look at this, who are the examples? Who are the leaders of our Texas? Our state leaders, correct? So that would be the catalyst for businesses. Of course, again, it is a may. It is not implemented for businesses yet. So looking in retrospect, or in the larger picture, it's a trickle-down theory, and it's practicing every usage. And I'm looking at your business perspective, speaking from Fox. Okay. I understand your point. So we look at the leaders, monkey see, monkey do. We have the leaders who are going to implement this. And of course, it's going to become a trend. And businesses are going to want to go ahead and implement it as well. And it's going to trickle down eventually. Yes, of course, it is a may, because we understand that if it is implemented as, if it is mandated straight ahead, there will be some complications. We do understand that. But again, that is why may is implemented. So the first people who would implement it mandated would be state leaders to lead the example, and eventually large people would go ahead and catch on, and then of course trickle down to what we are, our local communities. So that would be, again, a long run benefit for our statewide community.
Okay, I'm Noel Mandel again with YNN, and I had a question for Mayor Reiner. Living in Austin, we have quite the metropolitan here, and I was wondering how you saw our city benefiting from the credit trading system that would be available for the energy companies through this program. Thank you.
The companies right now don't have an incentive for being energy efficient, so the incentive that we would give is working on a credit system, and in the fact that businesses could obviously pollute to a certain extent, and they would have a cap off. If they haven't reached that cap off, then they would be able to make money in selling the energy credits. So that's how businesses would have an incentive for being energy efficient, because they would make money off of selling their energy credits.
I had a question for Molly. Hi Molly, my name is Claudia Perez and I am from the Texas Review. I actually interviewed your mom out there, and I understand that the public school that you go to is really old. How do you feel when you go to school, and about how many days do you miss from school every month because of your asthma and your allergies?
I think probably every 1 day every week I miss because I'm too sick. And the old school, the air conditioning is really, really bad and really hot. And so when I have to stay inside, it's just like being outside, and I just get sick and I start coughing and my eyes burn. And
Amber Allen, Fox News. I have a question for Mayor Reiner. Democracy is founded upon citizen contributions to public policy. The current version of SB 1340 does not allow businesses to contribute to the design standards which will regulate their building practices and emissions in the future. How can you justify actions that are so arbitrary and punitive to Texas small businesses?
That's where the incentive program comes in, to where eventually they would have an incentive for taking part in Bill 1340.
Would they have a voice, Mayor Reiner?
Yes.
Looking through a business perspective, I guess we could look at this in the following way. Putting the incentive program into place. With the incentive program coming into place, we will see that the government or leaders would go ahead and help out. If you look at this from a small business perspective, let's go ahead and make a comparison. A small businesses with limited funds can only do so much with their design and architecture and so forth. However, once we have the incentive program, don't you think their ability to have advancements within their infrastructure heightens because of the advancement funds they receive? I personally would like to see that within myself, getting funds from the mayor or from my municipality, from the government, to go ahead and help me heighten my availability of my resources. But I do understand your point, and with that, we will go ahead, if any measures I need to pursue, amend for a voice, if we see that the public does. Go ahead.
Hello again. I think the question that the press has for you is, where the people's voice and where this tax money is going if it were to ever be implemented? Because I think a lot of this is revolving around the fact that it's going to be implemented in different areas, which is not for sure, because it wouldn't be a mandate, it would be optional. But where would the people's voice be, and where that tax is going, and how it's being distributed, or how their business efforts are paying this?
As far as consumers being affected, really, I see the only way that they're being affected is that they're going to have cleaner air, because the business is producing cleaner air for you guys, because they'll take part in the incentive program. So I believe that that would be equally efficient for all of us, that we're all being energy efficient as far as starting with the businesses and the government, because we'd be producing a cleaner environment for the consumers.
One quick thing I want to add to that, actually. If you read the bill thoroughly, it does not say that we are going to be using tax dollars. It's a matter of fact using our own budget. So it's just a matter of allocating our budget into the appropriate ways. So as regarding the taxes, the individual will not see an increase in taxes.
Do you ladies have time for one more question? Okay, great. I'm Noelle again from YNN, and my question is kind of a two-part question. The mayor and Dr. Rodriguez, I'd appreciate both of y'all's input. First, you can answer the first part. How do you envision the changes in business occurring? Like, what is the first step? What is the second step? And then over what period of time was it? I believe maybe 3 3 years, but how do you see the first year going and so forth? And then with all of this going on, how much better do you see Texas being in the future, Mayor, especially in your city, you know, being the capital and everything? I'd like to know how you think people are going to benefit from this and how you see everything being done. Thank you.
When looking into that, I have this really good example I like to put into place. South Korea. If you look at the government of South Korea, they implemented that, the president, I believe, was one who said everybody should have access to internet, accessible, fast internet. And if you look at South Korea now, they are the number one nation with fast internet. They are, if you look at Samsung, Hyundai, all of those major companies in the technological area, which we are in, they are number one. So buying LCD, television, and all your screens are from Samsung. So looking at that one catalyst emerged a greater market. And if you look at the United States comparison to the world, we are behind in a few areas, I guess. Again, like I would mention technology one, energy efficiency being another. So again, if we use this implementation of a catalyst for greater innovation in the state of Texas, and again, put ourselves back into the market with the world, because we are, again, in a globalized market.
There are many strengths to this bill. First and foremost, for the businesses, will save money in the long run. We'll have a lot more quality of life overall and job creation. That's a big thing right now in our economy is job creation, getting everybody a job. Also, we'll have lower energy bills and we'll be energy efficient and saving more money. That is the main thing, is quality of life and saving money. I think that is pretty vital in our economic position right now.